These cards were all made from the same 3mm Baltic Birch plywood. Same material, same test card, 4 very different diode laser power levels. So we start with 10 watts, 24 watts, 40 watts, and 48 watts. At least that was the clean version of the test I had planned. The 48 watt should be faster. That part is not exactly breaking news here. But is it actually better? That was the question I started with. Then the plywood got delayed for a couple of weeks. The testing took longer than I expected. A few things went sideways. And when I reached the 48 watt material test grid, the whole test almost stopped. So this video became more than just a wattage comparison. Because cutting plywood and engraving plywood are not the same job. Cutting is about getting through the material. Engraving is about controlling what happens on the surface. So today, I'm testing what really changes when diode laser power goes up. From actual plywood, actual settings, real shop problems, and probably at least one piece that made me question my life choices. What's up everyone, I'm Alex and welcome back to Saverna Builds. Before we get too far into this, quick disclosure. My Xtool S1 40 watt was purchased by me. The Acmer P3 and the Acmer laser modules were previously sent to the channel for review, but that commitment has been completed for some time now. Nobody asked me to make this comparison, nobody's paying for this video, and nobody's seeing it before it goes live. This is my independent test to answer a question a lot of diode laser owners eventually run into. Do you really need more power? Let's find out. For this test, I'm using 4 diode laser power levels. The 10 watt, 24 watt, and 48 watt are being done on the Acmer P3 using Lightburn. For the 10 watt test, I'm using the 10 watt diode module from the 2-in-1 laser head. For the 24 watt and the 48 watt tests, I'm using the Acmer dual module. And for that 40 watt test, I'm using the Xtool S1 40 watt with Xtool Studio. So yes, this is using 2 machines and 2 pieces of software. But this is not Acmer versus Xtool. It is not Lightburn versus Xtool Studio. These are just simply the lasers that I have available in the shop. The point is to compare what these power levels actually feel like when making the same small plywood project. The material is 3mm Baltic Birch plywood B/BB grade. All of it came from the same supplier and from what appears to be the same batch. I cut the blanks to size, lightly sanding it all the same way, keep the grain direction consistent, and taking care of the plywood, clamping it down as consistently as I could. I'm not using masking tape, I'm not doing the focusing tricks, and I'm using air assist only during the cutting. Engraving is done without air assist. This is the test card I'll be using. I designed it in Xtool Studio and then exported it as an SVG so that I can use it in Lightburn. I wanted something simple enough to compare across all 4 lasers, but still close to the kind of small plywood projects someone might actually make. We also have there some mix of larger text, some smaller text, a simple icon or logo. And I have a section there with lines, different sizes there. They're just made with tiny filled rectangles. Then we have a bit of a score line going all around. And for the cutting test there, I have a 20mm circle, a bit of a slot there, a hanging hole, and of course the outside profile for the cart. Nothing too fancy. It's just enough to show whether each laser can engrave cleanly, cut the internal shapes, and finish the outside edge without turning the plywood into some piece of charcoal or something. In the numbers at the top there with the W's, those are all the wattage. I wanted to make this file as universal as I could, and then after each test, I will just mark the power level with the marker there. That way the file stays the same. The material stays the same as well. The only things changing are the laser power and of course the settings that make sense for that power level. Before running the final cards, I ran material tests for each level. I'm not forcing all 4 lasers to use the same settings here. That might sound fair, but it's not how anyone actually uses these machines. 80% power on a 10 watt laser is not the same thing as 80% power on a 48 watt laser. So I'm comparing equal efforts here, not equal settings. Each power level gets its own material test. Then I choose the best practical engraving setting and the best practical cutting setting I can find. Not the fastest setting if the results look terrible. Not the cleanest setting if it takes forever. A setting I would actually consider using on a real project. The 10 watt, 24 watt, and the 40 watt material test mostly went the way I expected, But when I reached the 40-watt material test grid, something was clearly off. The 48-watt module worked better for me before. I have older cards and previous cuts where it performed much closer to what I expected from this power level. So going into this video, I expected the 48-watt to have the clearest cutting speed advantage. At least that was the plan. But during the test at those higher cutting speeds that I expected to use, it was just not cutting through this 3mm plywood. So I stopped and started checking the usual suspect. I went on full troubleshooting mode. I cleaned the module, I checked the lens area, I checked my light burn settings, I switched outlets just in case the power was an issue, I reinstalled drivers, I even tried running it from a different computer. Same problem, it was just not cutting. At that point, I had a choice. Stop the whole video because the clean version of the test fell apart, or show what actually happened and just use the best reliable setting I could get during the test. I chose to keep going. So the 48-watt result in this video gets a little bit of an asterisk. I'm not saying it represents the absolute best a 48-watt diode laser can do. I'm not even saying it represents the best this module has ever done. I'm just saying this. This is the best reliable result I got from the 48-watt module during this test on this plywood after troubleshooting. So the test continues, but with that 48-watt note clearly on the table. I'm running each card like a normal project. Engraving first, internal cuts next, outer cut last. And I'm not stopping after every layer unless I need to, because I really want this to reflect how I would actually make this piece. I will record the settings, the job time, and the final result for each power level. Then we can compare the finished cards side by side. All right, let's start with the 10-watt. This is the lowest power laser in the test, and it is close to what a lot of people start with when they buy their first diode laser. I expected this one to be the slowest, and it was. But honestly, the full card finished in just over 8 minutes. Considering the fastest machines were around 6 minutes in range, this is not bad. The cut made it through, although one small strand kept the card from releasing perfectly clean. That could be the plywood, I think it was the plywood, or it could be the setting, or both. Overall, the edge looked very good, very little charring, and almost no staining on the front. The engraving is where the 10-watt holds up better than some people might expect. The text is very readable, the detail is very good, and the line section is decent for raw plywood. Not perfect, but very usable. Next, the 24-watt. This is the middle ground in the test. Of course, compared with the 10-watt, the job finished faster, but the bigger thing I noticed was the overall look. The engraving color was more even, the lines look cleaner, more straight, and the card itself had a very nice finished look. The cut was also very good. It didn't release quite as cleanly as I hope, but there was a bit of a plug or like some sort of a repair done on the back of the plywood. So I'm not blaming the laser for that at all. The edge looked cleaner than the 10-watt sample, and the small text and line detail held up very nicely. There's a little more staining than on the 10-watt card, but not enough to bother me though. So far, I think this one is my favorite result. Not because it wins in every category, but because it gives a nice balance of speed, cut quality, and engraving detail. Now we move to the 40-watt there with the X-Tool S1. This is the machine that many of you have seen on the channel before, and it is the one that I know the best. And honestly, I feel this machine has really spoiled me. Anyway, the results here are very solid. The cut went through cleanly, the edge is smooth, there's a very nice golden brown there on the side. There's some staining on the front of the card, but remember, I didn't clean any of the cards after engraving. No sanding, no masking, no processing after the fact, so some of that will clean up very nicely. The engraving also looks very good. Good color, good contrast, and good detail. The 24-watt may have a slight edge in some of the tiny details there, but it is very close. For me, the 40-watt feels like the comfortable reference point. It has plenty of power for 3mm plywood, so the question is not whether it can do the job. It can. The question is whether the speed and quality are where I want them. And now the 48-watt. This is the highest power diode module in the test. So going in, I expected this one to show the biggest cutting speed advantage, But as I mentioned earlier, the 48 watt module didn't behave the way I expected during the material test grid. And even with that limitation, I was still able to get a usable cut and engraving result. For cutting, I ended up using basically the same speed as the 24 watt. That was 500 millimeters per minute at 100% power. This is not what you should expect from the 48 watt module, but it did cut, and the final card is still very useful. The edge is darker than the previous cards, and this is not the clean speed advantage I was hoping to show you. The engraving, though, is very solid, good color, good detail, and the small text and line sections, they're all very easy to read. So the card itself is not bad. It just needs context. Now let's put them together. For cutting quality, all 4 cards were very usable. For the engraving speed, the difference was not as dramatic as cutting. For engraving detail, this is where the smaller middle power option held their own. The 10 watt did better than most people would probably expect. The 24 watt may be my favorite overall engraving because the color looked even and the line detail stayed clean. The 40 watt was also very strong with good contrast and readable small text. And the 48 watt still engraved well, even with the issue I had on the cutting side. So the simple version is this. More power can absolutely help, especially when cutting, but the lower wattage lasers still produce very usable work, and that is the part I don't want people to miss. If you're cutting a lot, more power can save time. If you're engraving, the setting, the focus, the material, and the actual condition of the machine matters just as much as the wattage number. So, do you really need more power? Maybe. Annoying as that is for an answer, right? It's still an honest answer. If your main problem is cutting speed, then yes, more power can be a real upgrade. If you cut a lot of plywood, make batches, or sell products, the time savings can become very real. But if your main work is engraving, especially small details or decorative surface work, more wattage by itself is not really the whole answer. And if your current laser is slower, that doesn't mean this is useless. It may just mean you need a little more patience, better settings, or more realistic expectations. See, the better question is not which one is best. The better question is best for what? More power definitely solves some problems, but it doesn't solve all of them. You can make good work without rushing straight into the highest wattage you can find. You just need to understand that trade-off. Sometimes the trade-off is money. Sometimes it is speed. Sometimes it is patience. And sometimes it's just standing in the shop, staring at the machine that worked fine last time, wondering why today it has chosen violence instead. I hope this helped clear up some of the confusion around diode laser power. If it did, hit that like button so that YouTube knows this kind of practical testing is worth sharing. My team of analysts tells me that 75% of you watching this month are not subscribed to the channel yet. So clearly, the department is very concerned. If you want more real-world laser tests, shop projects, 3D printing experiments, and DIY learning from someone who's actually trying this stuff in the garage, consider subscribing. And as always, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. You guys are awesome. You know that your support helps make longer tests like this possible, especially when those plywood stacks start getting a little smaller. I will leave links in the description for the tools, the materials, and related videos mentioned in this test. And now I want to hear from you in the comments. What laser power are you using right now? And what do you wish it did better? Cut faster, engrave cleaner, handle thicker material, or are you actually happy with what you already have? Thanks for watching. I'm Alex, this is Severna Builds, and I will see you on the next one.